Hi, this is Nintendo, and I'm going to be making a tutorial about how to create a texture mod with proper Mipmaps. So Mipmaps are different levels of detail for textures that are used by the game depending on how close or far an object is from the camera. So a lot of older mods don't use Mipmaps because I think in the past the modding tools couldn't create proper Mipmaps or something like that. So let's see how we can add Mipmaps to a texture mod. So the mod example that we're going to use is this one of the soldier's armor, and it's made by Kyim, a really good modder on Game Banana. Definitely recommend checking out Kyim's mods. So let's go over to upper alb 6. So this is the texture that we're looking at, and you can see over here mip level, it's 0 of 0, mip count is 1. So this doesn't have any mipmaps. Then if we look over at the normal map, also 0, we can see here it wants to have 9 mipmaps, but it doesn't actually have any. And the specular map as well. Now, Switch Toolbox can create its own mipmaps, and that's very easy to do. All you've got to do is right-click on it and export, and I guess we'll just export that to the desktop. Make sure that we change it to SBF res. Okay. And you can see it's going to say in a moment creating mipmaps right here, generating mipmaps. And then we save that text too, which contains those mipmaps. So that was easy, but unfortunately it is not the way that we want to do this, because the mipmaps it generates are pretty bad. They've got lots of errors in them. So the one for the alb texture, it doesn't create any because this count is set to 1. For these, the count is set to 9, so it made 9 mipmaps. But if we compare the first mipmap to the second one, look at that. It's all jumbled up. For some reason, when Toolbox generates mipmaps, especially for normal maps and specular maps, at least the second mip level 1 of 8, gets really messed up. The specular map as well. So this is the first one, and then the second one is a totally different shape. Don't know why, but I'll show you how to get around this problem. So these files that we just generated by exporting, no good. We don't want those. So let's just get rid of those. Okay. So what we're going to want to do is use the vanilla files as a base so that we can have proper bitmaps for our specular maps and normal maps. But first, we're going to want to take our texture and convert it into a DDS outside of Toolbox. Because we'll want to use something that creates better mipmaps and better compression also than Toolbox does. So we've got our PNG here of the texture, and you'll have yours, whatever texture you're wanting to use. And we want to open that in Nvidia Texture Tools Exporter. You can get that for free, and it's a very good tool for generating textures for Breath of the Wild. So the things that we're going to want to change for format, we'll change that to BC1 RGB for, I think that's bits per pixel. I'm not sure though. So change it to that one, BC1. We don't need an alpha channel because, I don't think these armor or weapon textures have any transparency. And for compression quality, we definitely want highest, because who wouldn't? And now we're going to open up our PNG. and save as. Just take the same name but change the file type to DDS. Save. Okay, done. We can close out of here. And now we will open up the vanilla files for the soldier armor. So we open up just the text one, not the text two. But okay, actually this is an important thing. When you open it, make sure that you have the text two sitting right next to it. That's an important thing. If the text two is next to it, it can load the mipmaps from that file. If there's no text two here, then it can't load those mipmaps, and when we generate our new files, it won't have anything to draw those mipmaps from. So have text1 and text2 in the same folder, and then open the text1. I know it's complicated. I don't know why it's so complicated, but this is the way we got to do it. So let's go ahead and find upper Alt6 and right click on it, replace it, and find our DDS that we just generated. And open that. There we go. We've got our new texture here. And you can see that the mipmaps are working. We got 0 through 9, and all of our mipmaps are correct. Now, when you replace a texture like this, for some reason, sRGB becomes false. You'll see that on all the other diffuse maps, it is true. So we want to go and change that back to true. If it remains on false, then your textures will not look right in game. And so this is true. If we deselect it and select it again, you can see that this format has changed back to TBC1 sRGB like it should be. Okay, and we can see our normal maps. These are all good. Specular maps, all good. Everything's fine. Now that we've done this, we can either save to overwrite those vanilla files if we made copies of them, or we can export. Let's just export to desktop, make sure it's SBF res. And now notice once it's making our text2, it will not say generating mipmaps because Toolbox doesn't have to do that. The mipmaps are already made for it. So it just immediately saves the text2. Okay. Close that out. Let's open our new files that we just generated and make sure that everything is working correctly. So we've got that text1 and text2 together next to each other. That's important. And upper Alt6, our mipmaps are correct. sRGB is true. And the normal map, make it a little bigger. Yep, that looks right. Specular map. There we go. No problem. And that's it. Let's see. One other thing I'll throw in. If you want to duplicate a texture onto another texture, basically. So I'll show you what I mean. So we'll just open that back up. Let's say that I really like the blue armor, Alb1, and I want to make that become the default, Alb0. I don't like this dark blue color. So what I need to do is right-click on Alb1 and export as DDS. Then I will right-click on Alb0, replace, choose that DDS. Okay. Now my mipmaps are correct. They're all blue. And I need to change this sRGB to true. And then I can just go ahead and save. Okay, and that's it. So that is creating texture mods with proper mipmaps. Yeah, hope you learned something, and good luck with your mods.